thank you again for joining us. We are going to get started here and give you an idea of what we're going to go over this evening. So we'll get our screen share set up for you. First of all, thanks for joining us this evening. We're calling this our After You've Been Accepted, What's Next webinar experience. So everyone who's joining us tonight is either a student or family member, parent, guardian of an accepted student here at Colorado School of Mines for this upcoming fall. And first of all, congratulations to all of you on your acceptance. We are thrilled that you are considering Mines as your future community and home here for the next couple of years as you make your college search, and we couldn't be more excited to have you joining us this evening. Now, as far as what we're going to go over for you, this is a presentation that's really valuable for kind of getting those basics down. You've gone through the application process, but now you want to know a little bit more about what's next. So tonight, we're going to cover a lot of different things. We're going to talk a lot about the Oredigger community, so you know a little bit more about us and what our student experience is like. We'll talk about student life, both on and off campus here in Golden. We'll talk about the living on campus experience, so the different experiences in the residence halls, as well as our academic opportunities, scholarships, financial aids, essentially all the important stuff that we think you should know about us going forward as students in the process of making a decision. Then after we finish up that presentation, which runs for about 30 minutes or so, we'll open it up for question and answer. So we've turned on the Q&A feature for this evening for you to be able to ask those questions of us. And to give you a little bit of background here, we do have several of our team members here in admissions logged in with us this evening to help answer any questions that you might have with us, because we know that this information in a lot of cases generates as many questions as it does answers. So myself and our other counselors will be able to answer those for you as we go along and make sure we answer some of those really popular ones out loud for you. And then to close the evening, we'll give you kind of a roadmap of future events. Tonight is going to be a nice overview of some basic stuff about a lot of those topics we mentioned, but we know that there's times that we want to get you more info about things like financial aid or the housing process or orientation. So throughout the rest of the spring semester, we're going to be offering different programs for you to really dive deep into those to learn more about them. So we'll go over that towards the end. So stay tuned. I should also mention everything we're going to go through tonight is being recorded, and we will make sure that we have a copy of it available for you after tonight, so you can always reference it. But with that, that's what we're going through this evening. And I will turn it over now to Luke Contreras, our Assistant Director of Admissions in charge of recruiting, to kick off his presentation. So Luke, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Max. Like Max said, my name is Luke Contreras. I'm one of the Assistant Directors in the Office of Admissions at Colorado School of Mines. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that you all take the time to celebrate y'all's accomplishments. Congratulations on being admitted to Mines. We all hope that you've had some time to celebrate that and enjoy what that means, as well as all of the good news you've hopefully received over the past few months about where you could go to college in the future. The college search process, I think, is one of the coolest, exciting moments in a student's life, right? Like for me, I just went to the elementary, middle, and high school that my parents told me to go to, but college was the first time I got the opportunity to really visualize and choose my own adventure. And so I hope you've taken some time over the past few months, that is, as you've got the good news from hopefully multiple universities, that you've had some time to celebrate as well. We are biased. We are obviously proud of what it means to be Mines and the blue and silver of what it means to be a Colorado School of Mines Oredigger, but we truly hope you've had the time to celebrate. I also encourage you to take some time tonight or over the next few weeks and just give a quick thank you to anybody and everybody that helped you get you to where you are. If you're sitting with a parent right now or a support person throughout your life, give them a quick little thank you and just say, hey, what you've done for me over the past few years has meant a lot. If your experience in high school was anything like mine, this person maybe drove you to band practice, maybe sat in cold high school bleachers for hours on end and supporting you at a marching band competition, or whatever your high school experience was defined by. And whoever has defined it, just give them a quick thank you, because I think the cool thing about college and one chapter ending and a new chapter beginning is being able to reflect and really think about those that have made a positive impact on your life. So on behalf of us, congratulations. On behalf of your family and support system, thank you for what you've done to help get your student to where they are today. But let's get started. Let's talk about Mines. Now, you've been accepted. You probably are wondering what's next, right? As you've noticed, we are aggressive communicators in the inbox. You've received a lot of notifications from us Parents and families and guests, you may have been CC'd on some of those as well. You're probably getting a lot of those same style of emails from other universities, but you're probably thinking, when it comes to Minds, what do I need to do to prepare? And that's the beauty of this presentation and the beauty of this webinar this evening. Before we dive into the meat of everything and the content, I want to show you a quick video that I believe is a great reintroduction to Colorado School of Mines. So you saw a lot in that video. And if I can summarize that video and how we operate at Colorado School of Mines, it's this following phrase: we dig tradition, but we're not traditional. Mines was founded in 1874, and we have a long legacy of being a premier STEM university in both Colorado, but as well as the United States and around the world. But we like to do it in our own fun, quirky kind of way. And so when you join our community and you wear that blue and silver with pride, you're going to join a legacy of great STEM leaders that are rooted in some fun traditions. I think there's this connotation sometimes that STEM universities, their school spirit and school pride might not be as palpable as other schools. At Mines, that's not how we roll. We are so proud of what it means to be us, what it means to be who we are. And so you'll be a part of a lot of traditions. For example, my favorite tradition at Mines is something called E-Days. It is a long weekend where we just celebrate that Oredigger spirit, from concerts to field games to a fireworks show put on by explosives engineering students. There's this awesome tradition and legacy that E-Days provides. E-Days, admittedly, is also a long weekend without classes and without classes and homework. So it really is kind of just a fun weekend to celebrate the spirit of who we are as a university. Now, the marquee event of E-Days is something called the cardboard boat races, where you design a boat out of cardboard with duct tape and cardboard. That's it, with your friends, and then you race it down Clear Creek, which is just a couple blocks north of campus. Now, this event is held in April, and if you know anything about weather in Colorado during the month of April, unpredictable is by far the word that I would use to describe it. It could be 67 and beautiful, or it could be 27 degrees and snowing. And I can tell you that this year's, the 2021 cardboard boat races was not the 67 beautiful degree day, but trust me, that creek was lined by Mines community supporters and students cheering on our cardboard boat races. There are going to be a lot of ways you're going to find your people at Mines, with over 250 clubs and organizations that range from fraternities and sororities to pre-professional clubs. You really are going to find a vibrant community. I went to a university of almost 30,000 students, and I would say the community at Mines rivals the community at my alma mater. So if you're wondering, is there going to be a lot going on? Is there going to be something that I can do on the weekends? Are students hanging around in Golden and making this their home? The answer is absolutely yes. And you're going to find a lot of ways to get those connections and develop those lifelong bonds and friendships. Another thing that Mines is proud of is our athletics tradition. Y'all, The smart kids can play ball. Let's just put it that way. At Mines, we have 3 levels of athletics. We have intramural, club, and NCAA Division II sports. Intramural, you just compete with other students for the fun of competition. Inner tube water polo, flag football. I think there's been like Fortnite tournaments and Rocket League tournaments. Club sports, you still get to compete intercollegiately, but there's just not really any scholarships involved. And then our NCAA Division II sports are our top level of athletics. And man, we dominate that field of competition. Our football team finished 3rd in the country this year. And in the semifinals of the college football Division II playoffs. And our women's basketball team is currently ranked in the top 15 in the country. One thing about history that you all get to be a part of is if you picked Mines and you joined our community, you will be here for our 150th birthday. You will be here to celebrate the sesquicentennial. That's what 150 years is, a sesquicentennial. You'll be here to celebrate that. So you are already a part of a historic class if you pick Mines as your university. Now, one of the most unique things about college is the living on campus part. And it might be a little bit intimidating, and it might be a little bit of question marks about what it's like to live in the residence halls. All first-year students do live on campus their freshman year to really develop that community and really set the tone for your 4-year college of experience. Our housing application opens on April 1st. Why they picked April Fool's Day, I don't really know, but that's the day that our housing application goes live. Now, you do have to be committed to Mines to access the housing application. And what I mean by committed is you have to have gone into your applicant portal and said, yeah, I'm gonna be an Oredigger. Now, let me calm some nerves real quick, because sometimes people are like, wait a minute, housing application goes live April 1st. I don't have to commit to Mines till May 1st. What's going on if I don't commit before April 1st? Don't panic. Commit to a university when you're ready. Sign that dotted line, get that Mines swag on when you are ready. As long as you commit to Mines on or before May 1st, you're going to be in a good place when it comes to accessing housing. However, if you committed to Mines before April 1st, you will get to start the process then. On the slide, you also see some of the amenities that you can expect by living on campus. You want to know a plus about attending a STEM school? Our Wi-Fi rocks. Our Wi-Fi device to person ratio on campus is like 35-1. When you got Xboxes and PS5s and smart TVs and Apple Watches and iPhones and Fitbits and the whoosy whatsies and this and that, who knows what's going on? But if you're wondering, do we have good Wi-Fi? Absolutely. You also see some other things that you can expect when living on campus. Gotta love that free laundry. I had to pay $1.25 when I went to college per load, so I'm jealous that free laundry is free for Mines students. Now, at some other universities, the pricing model for living on campus is typically based on the building which you live in. At Mines, our housing pricing model is based on the number of people who live in the room. All right, so a single is going to be more expensive than a double, and a double is going to be more expensive than a triple. Now, the single is an option, but the majority of you will be living in a double style room, which means it'll be you and one other roommate. Some of you might be living in a triple, which is you and 2 other roommates. But the cool thing about Mines is the majority of our triples and majority of students who live in a triple are living in rooms designed to be a little bit bigger for housing 3 people. We gotta get a sense there. You also see how our different meal plans break down as well. As Max alluded to earlier, we are gonna have a full-on webinar just like tonight, solely about living on campus. And if you have any follow-up questions, I encourage you to attend that webinar, and we'll get you the date and more information as we wrap up tonight's programming. Now, just to kind of give you a preview of the housing application, the housing application is in 3 phases. Phase number 1 is something called the roommate survey or the roommate questionnaire. Here, you're going to put your name, maybe rank your top 3 choices of residence halls if you've done your research and you know which buildings are of interest for you. And then you're going to fill out the questionnaire, right? Are you a country music fan or an EDM fan? Are you an early bird or a night owl? Are you clean or are you messy? Don't lie on that one. If you're messy, embrace it. Answer that question as honestly as possible. If you're clean, embrace it and answer that question honestly as possible as well. That's phase one. Phase two of the housing application, you're then going to be entered into kind of this social media space, on this virtual social media space, where you'll get to interact with other incoming Minds students. And there you can select if you want to be each other's roommate based on your virtual interactions on this social media platform. And then after that, you will then get your room assignment and your residence hall assignment. If you're cool with just the random roommate situation, then as long as you do phase one, you're set and ready to rock and roll about finding out a roommate or a random roommate down the road. A lot of times we hear a lot of the horror stories of college roommates. That is not the majority of the experiences at all. I actually was the best man in my roommate's wedding from freshman year in college. And so there's a lot of positive roommate relationships. It's an exciting opportunity to meet somebody new. And it really is a cool experience when it comes to college. Now, I don't want to make anybody nervous, but move-in day is less than 8 months away, which is kind of crazy to think, right? It's like that warning in your mirror, objects are closer than they appear. But August 2022 ain't that far away. And usually about mid-August is when move-in day will happen. And you'll find out about move-in day further we get into the summer. Now, not only are you moving to campus, you're moving to Golden. Now, I'm a little biased. I'm born and raised Colorado through and through, but I think this is one of the coolest places to not only to learn, but to live at the same exact time. Golden's got this cool little mountain town vibe, this little cool mountain town feel. Golden proper is only about 20,000 people, and we're tucked in this little valley just west of the Denver metro area. A lot of great restaurants, a lot of great local hiking, a lot of great local places to just celebrate that Colorado spirit. But you get access to Denver, access to the big city, internship opportunities. All major sports leagues are represented in Denver. The Denver Center for Performing Arts always has something going on. If you are like me and you love concerts and live music, if you go to Minds, you're going to college 15 minutes away from the single greatest place to catch a concert. And that is called Red Rocks Amphitheater, down literally 15 minutes south of campus on one of our interstates. So just a great community, a great place to live, a great place to learn. A little bit of a bombshell I'm going to drop real quick. Not all first-year students get their cars. Everyone who commits to Minds is entered into a lottery, and then our parking services then selects who gets the opportunity to pay for a parking permit or the opportunity for a parking permit. Don't panic though, because the cool thing is everyone in our campus, every one of our students gets a free RTD pass. And RTD is our mass transit system here in the Denver metro area. So you could get from Golden, which is our furthest western point of the metro area, to our airport, which sometimes feels like it's in Kansas. If you've been to Denver, you know what I mean. All for free via the RTD system as a Minds student. Downtown Golden's only 2.5 blocks away. So you still get amazing access, even if you don't have the car for your first year at Minds. Now, picking a college is exciting. Picking a major might be intimidating. That's how it was for me. I was like, okay, cool. I can picture my future here, but now you want to pick what I'm going to be? I'm 17, 18 years old. I'm supposed to pick that now? Don't panic when it comes to that for Minds. As long as you know you want to study STEM, you're in a great place. At Minds, we actually don't make you pick your major to the end of your second year at the university. So that means you have 2 full years to come to campus, try things out, explore this, explore that, and really find your passion. So if you know what you want to study, that's awesome. If you don't know what you want to study, that's awesome as well. Also, when you were admitted to Minds, you were admitted to all of our degrees. We have no capped majors, we have no competitive majors. So all of our academic offerings, you are automatically admitted to. So congrats to that one as well. And to finally help you with that major selection process, every one of you is going to have a professional academic advisor. We have a full-on professional academic advising model at Minds. So that means every year you're going to have somebody whose sole dedication is to know your major, know the curriculum, know what classes are being offered, so that way you can maximize every semester while you're on campus and truly get you on that, keep you on that positive graduation path. How Minds approaches academics is by the following phrase: we do not build classroom engineers and scientists, we build real world engineers and scientists, which means you're going to get an academic experience where it's going to be hands-on. You're going to learn the material, you're going to be inspired by our faculty, and then you're going to go out into the field and you're going to put those lessons into practice. And I want to show you another video that explains how this works through something we call the signature experiences.
Colorado's School of Mines has 4 key academic programs designed to help you succeed, no matter where life takes you. Built around open-ended problem solving and teamwork, you can explore and pursue your academic and professional interests to customize your college experience. All first-year students take Cornerstone Design the first year they join the Oredigger community. This course immediately gets you thinking about how to tackle complex, open-ended problems while developing professional skills. You'll work on a multidisciplinary team to address a real-world challenge. Recent examples include designing mechanisms for ocean cleanups, repurposing infrastructure and waste reduction, and improving bicyclist safety, where one team designed a helmet that measured impact to monitor a rider's risk of concussion. At Mines, you'll have access to some of the best equipment in the best fabrication facilities and research labs in Colorado. Even as an undergraduate, you can work with our esteemed faculty members and make a difference in research that's changing the world. Our professors are approachable and supportive, ensuring that you are equipped with the right skills and knowledge while working on projects you're passionate about. Cassandra is working in the Colorado Fuel Cell Center, where she's testing fuel cells in extreme conditions and trying to advance fuel cell technology. In addition to class credit and research assistantships, we also provide opportunities like the Freshman Research Initiative and the Mines Undergraduate Research Fellowship to help you get started on groundbreaking research. Current students will often tell you that field session is the reason they love their major. This immersive course is typically held in the summer of your 2nd or 3rd year. This is a hands-on experience where you apply your coursework in the field, oftentimes addressing a challenge posted by an industry partner. Field session helps hone your skills as a scientist, mathematician, or engineer, and helps build your professional network. Geophysics students recently spent 2 weeks at Mother Spring in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, where they use techniques including seismic gravity, electromagnetics, and ground-penetrating radar to gather and analyze data, and then presented their findings, which further characterized this large geothermal system in the upper San Juan Basin. Finally, Capstone Design concludes your time at Mines. This is your chance to apply all your skills to a specific multidisciplinary challenge. You and your team may work with a client or an industry partner, or could participate in a national engineering competition. Students have designed canoes made of concrete, formula racing cars, Hyperloop pods, and smart showers. Our human-centered design studio challenges teams to develop adaptive equipment for people with disabilities, like handicapped ski gear and mobility aids. We even have a team converting a 1970s Volkswagen bus from gas to electric. Your capstone project will distinguish you from other engineers as you near graduation. Together, these signature experiences help you define your career aspirations and give you the tools to navigate whatever path you choose.
All right. One of the biggest things that families and students are looking at when trying to pick a university is knowing, if I invest in that community, if I invest in that university, will I get a positive return on that investment? And I think you can have some immense confidence in the Mines investment and what it means and what that return will mean for you once you graduate. This slideshow, or this slide right here, is truly the tip of the iceberg on when it comes to the outcomes of Mines alumni after they finish their journey with us. Average starting salary is just right above $73,000 a year. That's the highest average starting salary of all four-year schools in the state of Colorado, and then one of the top average starting salaries of all universities in the nation as well. Today actually was day one of our career fair, our career week here at Mines. And we host some of the largest career fairs in the country. And whether you're a first-year student or a graduating student, everyone goes to the career fair. So you can start developing those connections and those opportunities. Oftentimes, professors cancel class on the days of the career fair so our students can go. I was actually talking to a student, and they actually told me that I came to Mines undeclared, but the career fair helped me find my major because I found a company I wanted to work for, and I asked them, who do they hire? And they listed off the degrees that they typically hire. So the career fair is a cool opportunity to not only figure out your future, but to figure out your present at the same exact time. Georgetown University did this study where they took all 4,500 higher ed institutions in the United States, 2 years, 4 years, publics, privates, took all of us. It took the total cost of attendance to go there. They looked at that. They looked at the total lifetime earnings of their alumni, and they ranked all 4,500 universities from 1 to 4,500 based on that total return on investment. And Mines placed 19th when it comes to that total return on investment, when you look at the cost to attend, as well as the lifetime earnings of their alumni. And when you look at the companies that Mines alum go work for, truly you can go from here anywhere as you look at that next step after you graduate from Mines. Now, this is an investment, and it's a big investment. And no matter how you shake it, this investment is going to be one that has a little bit of process, but has a lot of support to help make this investment possible as well. We are a public university. So what that means is we do have an in-state rate and we do have an out-of-state rate. And you see that here on this slide before me. I know these numbers are big, but remember, well, just so you know, these numbers are before financial aid, before scholarships, okay? This is the total cost of attendance. And when a university shows you the total cost of attendance, they show you both direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs are money that you will pay directly to the school, tuition and fees, room and board. Indirect costs are money that you as a student and you as potentially you and your family budget for based off of what your needs. For example, transportation home. What kind of laptop are you maybe bringing to campus? Are you going to buy textbooks from the bookstore at Mines, or are you going to find them through a third-party vendor? So when you see other expenses and you see that 34, 35 number, know there's some flexibility in that. There's some fluidity in that. When you look at room and board, there's some fluidity in that as well, because we saw the different rates based on the rooms and who's living where and how many people in each room. And then tuition and fees, remember that is before any scholarships or financial aid are applied. Now, Mines does scholarships two different ways. The first way we do scholarships is called automatic consideration scholarships. So what does that mean? When you were applied to Mines, you were automatically considered for a scholarship or a merit scholarship. Many of you were awarded one of these scholarships when you got that awesome news that you were accepted as a Mines student. One thing to keep in mind is if you have new academic information since you applied, you can submit new information up until March 1st. So just a little over a month, you can submit new information to us, such as a new transcript, and see if we could potentially bump you to the next scholarship bracket. So that's something to look forward to. So if your academic stuff has changed since you applied, send it our way. The second way we offer scholarships is called the General Scholarship Application for Mines Foundation Scholarships. These are scholarships that alumni support, donors support, big time companies in the STEM industry support, and they're only for accepted Mines students to apply and compete for. Some of these scholarships are due this week. Some of these scholarships are due in early February. Some of these scholarships have later dates, such as I think the beginning of March. I mentioned, we've emailed you a lot. So hop into that email, hop into those emails and find any and all emails about that general scholarship application. All right. And notice what I said, you're going to check your email. You're also going to read the email as well. I actually legitimately, this is no joke, had a conversation with a student a couple of weeks ago about, yes, there is more to an email besides the subject line. He was legitimately confused, but I enlightened him. So check out your email and make sure you read that email at the same exact time. Also, Minds will take any and all outside scholarships. So what that means is go research, go check it out. You can actually hop on our financial aids website, finaid@minds.edu, and there's actually a whole list of scholarship databases where you can go and apply for scholarships. Forbes magazine released an article that said, on average, about $100 million go unclaimed in scholarship funds per year because not enough students apply for outside scholarships. So take that chance, open up that laptop, apply for as many outside scholarships because we will definitely take those as well. Then there's the financial aid aspect, right? That is all through something called a document called the Fafsa, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. There's a lot of ways to pay for school, right? I like to use the metaphor that paying for college is like a puzzle. And each piece to that puzzle are different sources of money. Scholarships being one of those, personal money like financing yourself is one of those puzzle pieces. And then the other ones are potentially grants and loans, okay? And that is all through the document called the Fafsa. You're gonna wanna make sure you wanna fill that out. Is it required? No. Is it strongly suggested? Absolutely. We absolutely encourage you to fill out the Fafsa. And I encourage you to send it to all the universities you're looking at, because every university has a different financial aid awarding philosophy. So you might get money from us that you don't get from anywhere else, and vice versa. So please fill out that Fafsa and get it to us as soon as possible, so our team in the financial aid office can do and look at it and then build the best financial aid packages possible. Like Max alluded to, we are going to have a financial aid webinar, and we'll make sure to share those details at the end of today's presentation. Financial aid is intimidating, right? There's a lot of weird words, a lot of weird terms, a lot of jargon getting thrown around. But just know there's going to be folks available at Minds. I've had the privilege of working at 3 universities, and our financial aid office is by far one of the most welcoming, supportive, and kind financial aid offices in the country. They're smart about the whole process as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to give us and them a call, and we'll gladly help talk through this part of the college search process. And finally, we want you to obviously make it Minds. We want you to be here. And I just want to summarize some following points to make sure to hammer home some important dates and some important things to keep in mind over the next few weeks. First of all, the housing application goes live April 1st, but you can't access till you commit to Minds. You can commit now if you haven't already, but you have until May 1st to commit if you need that time. Also on May 1st, you will see information about payment plans. So you have to pay off a semester at a time, but you don't have to write a check for the whole semester at once. Our financial aid and our accountant and our bursar's office does have some potential opportunities for different installments to help make it a manageable payment process along the way. And then you see that May 1st deadline. We have other incoming and accepted student events along the way, as well through the admissions office, as well as through our orientation office. And you'll hear about those in the future as well. Find us on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Discord. I don't know what that is, to be honest with all of you. I'm in my 30s, but I heard it's really cool and a lot of students are on it. So I encourage you to follow our Discord. And then I hope you've heard of the tradition of finding your rock. Finding this awesome rock from where you're from, and to then be a part of the M-Climb, which you'll learn about in the future as well. There are 2 things I want to talk about before I end today's presentation. Right now, you're living in 2 different portals, the Applicant Portal and the Trailhead account. For the next few months, both of these portals are going to work together to prepare you for Minds. The Applicant Portal, that's where you saw your admissions decision, your scholarship information if you received one of those. You will find something called the incoming Oredigger checklist. It is a step-by-step checklist of everything you need to do to prepare for Minds. So if you're wondering, what does Minds need from me right now, or how can I get prepared for Minds, hop into that Applicant Portal and find that incoming Oredigger checklist. The Applicant Portal is also where you will confirm. That's where you say, yes, I want to be a Minds student, and all that paperwork and information is there. The Trailhead account is the Minds student portal, where you will find financial aid information. The housing application will be located there. That's where eventually class registration information will be. And so you're going to be working in these two portals for the next few months to make sure that you're getting properly prepared for Minds. If you decide to come to Minds, that applicant portal will essentially go dormant and deactivate, and you'll live in Trailhead for your collegiate journey at Minds. So you're going to look at those two things along the way. The second thing is this: enjoy the rest of your senior year. You all have had the weirdest high school experience in the history of humanity. And none of it is the fault of any of you on this webinar, right? And it's very tempting to just say, hey, I want to power through, I want to get done, I just want to get to graduation, and I want to get to college as soon as possible. I understand that. I was there, and I didn't have a pandemic in high school. But take the opportunity to relax, to enjoy the final moments, whether you're a prom person or the final competitions of your sports or the final band performances or choir performances. Enjoy the friends that you have around you. Go to all the graduation parties this summer in a safe and healthy way. Finish strong, right? You got to finish those classes strong. Don't get the senioritis, but enjoy the rest of your high school career. Take the summer to recharge. Take the summer to enjoy what you've accomplished. We got plenty of academics when you get here at Minds. We got plenty of calculus and physics and chemistry when you get here. So don't worry about that stuff quite yet, but enjoy the rest of your senior year and enjoy your summer as well. I got one more video to show you about traditions at Minds, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So now we're going to have the opportunity to dive into the Q&A, and I'm going to have my colleague Max pop on up as well to go back and forth and hopefully get those questions answered. Also, there are lots of my colleagues in the Q&A behind the scenes that are answering these along the way. So some of these will get answered live, some of these will get answered via the Q&A as well. So just know that there's a lot of support services, support along the way to answer your questions. And know that if you have specific questions about housing, financial aid, NEST, which is our new student transition services offices, we will have subsequent webinars this spring as well. To kick off, I think there's this awesome question that was shared with me by my colleague Mackenzie about how does one select a good rock, right? You've probably heard about that M-Climb tradition already, where every incoming student carries a 10-pound rock up to the M on the west side of our campus, and then celebrates in the ceremonial painting of the M. I think there are two things when picking a good rock. Number one, try to get as close to 10 pounds as possible, right? More than a pebble, but don't bring a boulder, right? Bring something that you can carry up as well. And I would also say, pick a rock from someplace memorable and important to you to symbolize where you come from. Maybe it's the front yard of your house. Maybe it's a special place where your family camped a lot. Maybe it's a ranch that your grandparents own that you spent a lot of time on while you were growing up. Maybe it's a rock outside your high school. Maybe it's a rock on a special family trip. But that rock is truly a symbol of where you're coming from, and is a great way to kind of kick off your Minds experience as you join the Oredigger family. So Max, I'm going to turn over to you, sir, and we can get this Q&A rocking and rolling.
Excellent. Thanks, Luke, for an awesome presentation, and for all of you for all your questions that are coming in. We've seen some really, really good ones coming in so far. Two just topics I want to address real quick because we saw lots of good questions about them. I know a lot of you are wondering where you'll be able to find the recording for this after today. We will be putting it on our YouTube channel later this week. So if you go to youtube.com and search Colorado School of Mines Admissions, you'll be able to find our channel, and we'll have it there for you to check out anytime you want. There have also been a lot of good questions about the Discord server that Luke mentioned. We are launching later this week a Discord server for accepted students in your class, so the Minds 2026 class. So if you want more info on that or to see links on that, follow us on our different social media accounts. You can find us at Minds Admissions. We'll have it on screen here a little bit later, but at Minds Admissions at Instagram and Twitter, and for parents and family members on Facebook to learn more about that. But I saw a lot of questions on it, wanted to make sure I answered that one out loud. Luke, one of the common questions I saw go by a little bit more recently was about academics. So we talked a lot about the experience for students, but I know a lot of incoming students will have AP classes or IB classes or concurrent enrollment or dual enrollment courses. And I know there's always questions about what does that look like and how does that come in for students? I know it's going to be unique for each student, but maybe if you want to speak a little bit to what that could look like for an incoming freshman.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's something that's an important thing to ask, because you've put that time and energy into those classes. And if you have the opportunity to get college credit, you deserve the opportunity to get college credit. So here's the big thing. When it comes to AP and IB classes, or advanced placement and international baccalaureate, you can actually just go on to our website or just simply Google AP scores Minds or IB scores Minds, and you will get what is called an equivalency chart. And an equivalency chart, essentially it's a chart with some columns that says the class, so the IB or AP class, the score you need on the test, and how it will transfer to Minds. So that's really, those are very transparent, and I encourage you to hop online, simply Google AP scores Minds or IB scores Minds, and all that information is there. A little bit of an insider tip: when you look at that equivalency chart, you're going to see something called free 1XX listed as the equivalent or the transfer equivalent. That just means an elective. Now here's the deal. Getting electives done as well as getting is as important as getting major related courses done as well, because once you get an elective done, you can every major requires electives. You get those out of the way, you start diving into your major potentially a little bit quicker. So there's some things to look up there when it comes to AP and IB. When it comes to dual enrollment, there's three things that Minds is going to look at. Where'd you go? How'd you do? And do we have an equivalent in that class? So where'd you go? We just want to see the institution that you did it at. And is it accredited the same way as Minds is? And the vast majority of institutions that you're doing dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment at are going to be totally fine on that accreditation side. How'd you do? Just your grade, right? No doubt y'all are rocking those, so I'm not worried about the grades there. The third thing is the equivalent at Minds. Now, if you're taking like Calc 1, Chem 1, physics, biology, college composition, like those foundational courses, there's a very good chance those are going to transfer in. If you're taking classes like history of rock and roll in 1965, that might not transfer in because that's a little too specific, but those general foundation courses have a good chance to transfer in. It's really not if it transfers in, it's how it will transfer in. That's just kind of the thing with dual enrollment. To get the dual enrollment process started, you have to send us an official transcript from the institution that you got the credit from. We can't get college credit from a high school transcript. We have to get college credit from a college transcript. So just send that stuff our way once your semester is done. And once you've committed, we'll get that process rocking and rolling. And we will do all of our best to make sure all of your AP scores are in, IB scores are in, and dual enrollment is in. So that way, when your academic advisor builds your first semester schedule, you're not double dipping in classes you've already taken. So I think that's kind of wraps that up question right there, Max.
Absolutely. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Luke. Yeah, and I think that again, that individualism, but knowing that there's going to be a route for it in most cases, is really important. And those resources that Luke mentioned on our website, like the AP guides, the IB guides, those guides, really, really helpful as you lead kind of through the rest of senior year into that summer. Related to that, one question I'm happy to take, I saw it go by a couple times, was the question about academic advising, right? How, Luke kind of alluded to how that kind of plays into your schedule, but there's questions about when you first meet them, what does that experience look like, and what are they able to do for you? The way that we kind of do things here at Minds is your first schedule that you get from us in that very first semester, the fall of your first year, is actually built for you by your academic advisor. We kind of take the pressure off you as an individual student from building your own schedule and having to assign yourself courses. Instead, your academic advisor is going to work with you and look at your interests, look at what you have credit for, look at the program track you're on, and actually build that schedule for you. through part of our orientation and launch experience. So we'll have somebody on later in the semester towards April from our new student and transition services office to talk about what that orientation experience looks like. But the first time that you really do start to connect with them would be over this summer if you're an incoming student for next fall. And the cool thing is those advisors through our Center for Academic Services and Advising, or CASA, as well as your academic programs, are available to meet with you lots of different times throughout your Minds career. You get that advisor who kind of kicks things off with you in your first year, but then you're also going to have an advisor in your academic program who's there to make sure that you're taking all the courses you need, but also you're taking advantage of internships, job opportunities, special academics out there to make sure you're getting the most out of your program. So that comes a little bit later in the process once you've committed and kind of gotten ready for the year, but know that you do get that resource. I think one of the things that we do a really good job of that Luke kind of alluded to a couple times tonight is we balance those small school communities with big school opportunities. You're going to get the individual one-on-one support with a lot of the depth that comes with that bigger school opportunity. Luke, another question that ties kind of into that from the advising standpoint. I know we talked a little bit about the career fair and job opportunities after school, but I did see a couple of good questions go by about internship experiences. Does every student go through and get one? And potentially when do students start to see that pop up? So maybe if you want to talk a little bit about how that plays into those signature experiences and just the timeline for students and who gets to do that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And for folks that are looking at a lot of STEM schools or STEM programs, you're going to hear a lot of universities use terms like internship or co-ops, right? And at Minds, we have those opportunities. We just potentially call them a little bit different. Cornerstone design, field session, and capstone. So you've already heard about how Minds does those. So if you think about it, 100% of students get some sort of an academic internship through your field session. That's where you're going to actually interact with a real life, real-time industry partner that Minds has developed great connections with. And you're going to help, they're going to give you a task or some sort of an activity or some sort of challenge that they need to help to solve. And you and your team will solve that. So everyone will get field session. And then about 85% of students get at least one off-campus internship before they graduate. And that can be local to Golden and Denver. That could be across the United States. That could be international, depending on the company and the safety of traveling to wherever that company is headquartered. Some students get internships the very first summer between their freshman and first year and second year at Minds. Some students get it their second or third year or in that third or fourth year. So if you're looking for industry connections, and is Minds going to have those connections? The answer is absolutely yes. Talking to our Career Center, even the very first semester you're here, is something to keep in mind. I talked to a Career Center rep from our university when I first started at Minds, and she mentioned if you don't come to the Career Center till your senior year, you're 3 years late, because there's a lot of opportunities that you can get that our Career Center has to offer. That's why first year students go to the Career Fair, right? To help get that foundation and set that foundation there. So like I said, 80 to 85% of students get at least one off-campus internship while they're here, but everyone will get that academic internship through field session, and they'll get a lot of those experiential hands-on learning opportunities throughout your four-year curriculum, in addition to those signature experiences that you heard today.
Excellent. And I'm 99% sure I heard Luke mention this, but I just saw a question in the chat that was, when is that career fair that he mentioned? We hold it twice a semester, virtually and in person. Usually happens in the first third. So tomorrow is our virtual experience for it, and then next Tuesday, I believe, is our in-person one. So first third of the semester typically. And Luke, I think you mentioned that, but I just wanted to make sure I had that out there.
Yeah, and usually the fall one is like mid-September-ish, or some right around mid to late September.
Absolutely. Switching gears a little bit, because I want to make sure we get a couple different questions from different topics, talking about living on campus and the different things. And again, this is where if you have those really specific questions on when will the TLCs have things, or when will move-in day be, or what should I pack, that's where I'd encourage you to join our Residence Life webinar coming up in March before the app opens. But I saw a really good question that I think speaks to a lot of our students. And the question was, coming from the other coast, what will my packing list look like? And I think that's important to mention, whether you're coming from out of state or in state. Right now, just over half of our students are coming from Colorado, which means a lot of you are coming from places like Texas, California, Washington, New Hampshire, New York, Virginia. You're coming from farther away from home than you'd be able to drive for a weekend, right? And my advice for students, they'll give you a specific list on, we recommend this sort of, bedding, we recommend this sort of study supplies, this sort of stuff for the, toiletries and everything. But my advice, speaking as somebody who grew up, on the other side of the country and went to college about 2,000 miles away from where I grew up, make sure that you bring stuff that makes it feel like home, right? It's easy to go through that list and say, oh yeah, I need a comforter, I need a pillow, I need, bookshelves and stuff like that. Bring your photos, bring things that are important to you in your room at home. Obviously talk to your roommate ahead of time and see what they're bringing, so you can maybe double up on who's bringing what. But when you look at it, really, those things that make it feel like home away from home are what's going to make that community for you. That's a really big and important theme in the residence hall experiences overall, because those communities aren't just where you sleep and study, right? That is where you're making friends and you're getting those connections here at Mines. And it's frankly that, safety net for you, whether you're coming from up the road towards Fort Collins or all the way across the country from a place like Boston. So we want to make sure that you have that sort of support around you, which I think is really, really valuable. And again, that's important for our in-state students too. Even if you're coming from a more local place, that experience is just as important for you. So again, we'll have more info on that in our residence life webinar coming up, but I think that's a great place to start. Luke, another one I want to ask you, kind of related to that, as far as the Oredigger experience goes, there were a couple questions I saw go by about study abroad, and I know that that's a really deep topic that we don't have time to go like advanced into, but I know that there's some unique options through things like the first year program, and students are just kind of wondering, how does that look in their program? Does it disadvantage them? Does it hurt their major related courses, or is it something that's pretty easy for them to slot in?
Yeah, and that's a fantastic question. And I think you ask people, one of their biggest regrets in their college experience is they didn't study abroad. So Mines is a huge proponent of study abroad. And there, like Max alluded to, there's a lot of different programs and offerings and unique study abroad opportunities that Mines has to offer. For example, you can study abroad your very first semester of college in Antibes, France, and go to a university called Schema and do your whole first semester there with a cohort of 30 different students. There's a webinar about that tomorrow night, if you're curious, and I will be on that one as well. Shameless plug. No, so there's those opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities to study abroad at other points in your collegiate career at Mines, whether it be your second semester, maybe a semester in your sophomore year. There's summer study abroad opportunities. But what's cool is our Education Abroad office has already set up pre-existing relationships with dozens of universities around the world in dozens of different countries. And these pre-existing relationships give you the confidence of this. They cost the same as Mines, and financial aid and scholarships can be used to attend those. And the classes are guaranteed to transfer back in. So plenty of Education Abroad opportunities. Mary Cook and her team are great at helping you match with a country or university. You could do a experience where you live in a residence hall at another college, or you could do the experience where you live with a host family. So yeah, whether it's your first semester senior year, no, first semester freshman year at Mines, my bad, once again, first semester first year at Mines, or some other point of your collegiate experience at Mines, huge proponents of study abroad. And yes, you can study abroad multiple times as well. And it's a really cool, unique experience that anecdotally I've heard that has been a plus on a student looking for jobs, because a company might like that intercultural communication skills, the soft skills of interacting with people from different backgrounds, the international aspect, because this world is more and more globalized. So yeah, it's a really big proponent of that. And I definitely encourage you to go to the Global Education Office website that Mines has to offer, a little bit more about those relationships and other universities that you could potentially study at.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke. I'm going to take time to answer one more question that I think speaks to pretty much everybody on campus. I know we didn't have time to get through all of them, but we do want to be mindful of everyone's time tonight. And I do know a lot of my colleagues are still out there typing away, answering those questions for you. So if you didn't get yours answered tonight out loud, we're trying to get you an answer now, and then there's always going to be time for you to follow up with us after. But the question I want to answer is, the question was essentially like, how often do students from different programs and interests interact on campus, right? You know, if I'm in computer science, am I going to be siloed into that and not work with people? I think that the section Luke talked about earlier with the signature experiences, whether it's Cornerstone, undergrad research, or all the way up to capstone, those really showcase how our students will work together, right? Because if you think about it, if a student is faced with a challenge right away in something like Cornerstone design their first year, they're faced with a challenge, and it's going to take lots of different fields and types of people to answer that challenge, right? If we talk about something as, you know, simple, quote unquote, as renewable energy sourcing and optimization, that's going to include everybody from, you know, electrical engineers to students looking at materials that are going to pull into that, supply chain optimization, business and economic side of it, right? It takes tons of different people from tons of different backgrounds. So when Luke talked about, you know, preparing students who are actual practical engineers and scientists and individuals versus classroom, that's really at the heart of our matter here, right? We want our students working interdisciplinary because that's how it happens out in the real world, right? You're not just going to graduate in your program and just work in your little corner constantly. You're going to be working with people across different disciplines and interests, and potentially even companies, organizations, to challenge those problems. And I think that it's really important to remember that we put those sort of you know, philosophies into our students right away at the very beginning, that very first year. It's kind of thread into your entire academic experience. So that's an awesome question. Just wanted to take time to answer that. But that, just because I want to make sure we get through our next steps and information for you, is what we have for questions tonight. Now, as far as things coming up, I know that we said quite a few times tonight, hey, we'll be sure to answer that for you at those upcoming webinars and programs. So what do we have? Well, for our accepted students, we're going to have 3 big keynote presenters coming up this spring that we'd encourage you to join us for. The next one coming up in February on the 17th is a family happy hour with admissions and the director of our financial aid office. So that'll be a great opportunity where our director will go through some of the big high-level stuff about financial aid and some of the detail-oriented stuff, but it'll be an open Q&A session, much like what we did tonight, with a little bit more time for us to really dive into specifics on everything from grant programs to scholarships to timelines, and just making that Minds experience more affordable. The other one after that will be in March. That will be our Living on Campus Experience webinar with Residence Life. So again, we'll bring in their staff to talk about housing options and different programs for students and timelines. That one lands especially nicely because the housing app, as Luke mentioned, doesn't open until April 1st. So before that app opens, you can kind of get the inside scoop on what's going on. And then last but not least, in April, we're going to invite in that team from our new Student and Transition Services, or NEST office. They'll be really, really helpful for talking about everything that comes next, the orientation process. So when do you sign up? How do you get on that list? What will they go over? All the way up to school starting in August, and that'll be on April 14th. If you do want to register for these, we'll send emails out to you with more info on them. But if you scan that QR code, that'll actually take you to our webinars landing page where you can register for these. So feel free to do that. We'll make sure to include more information about these as we get closer to them in invitation emails like the ones you've seen for tonight as well. So you'll have that as well. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our in-person events, because virtual is awesome, but it's really nice to be able to see the school before you get here and make that final decision. We are offering for our accepted students daily information sessions and tours Monday through Friday. We offer those every afternoon, and you can sign up for those online. That QR code will take you kind of to the same place as well. Those are really nice because you get to connect with the admissions counselor staff like myself, Luke, Mackenzie, Yvonne, Louisa, Josephine, but you also get to connect with one of our current students. So you'll actually go on a walking tour of campus, see our maker spaces, see our labs or classrooms, and then get to see other student-oriented spaces. So those are awesome opportunities to sign up for. And then we also have a big accepted student open house kind of preview day called Explore Minds, which will be happening in early March. That'll be kind of a blown-up visit day where we have tours and info sessions. There'll be breakout sessions with different departments and programs. There will be current student panels. You'll get to check out the dining halls and really get a slice of that life on campus. So lots of cool stuff. I will reiterate what Luke said earlier about making sure that you check your inbox and make sure you're reading those emails, because all the invitations for all this sort of stuff will be going out through those. as well. Last thing I want to mention before I turn it over here, again, we know this is a lot of info to go through tonight. So if you want to find out more information on like what we talked about tonight, or you want to watch this back after tonight, check out our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Colorado School of Mines Admissions. Luke just put up our social media handles and those links and everything for you, because we know questions pop up. So email us, give us a call, do any of that sort of stuff. But with that being said, for closing remarks, I'm going to turn it over to Louisa Dooley. She is our Associate Director of Admissions in charge of recruitment. She just has some final closing thoughts and thank yous for you. So Louisa.
Thanks, Max. Like Max said, I am Louisa Dooley, the Associate Director of Admissions. So excited that you all joined us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us and spending your time with us. We're thrilled that you're considering Mines as your future home. Can't wait to share more Oredigger experiences with you all. Quick reminder, our enrollment fee is non-binding before May 1st. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. You can always email admissions@mines.edu. Again, have a wonderful night, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Thanks, everyone.